Hello, 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 everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder, Path Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. Sorry for the delay. The market overview went long. Bob Iacchino was on it, so if you want to hear his thoughts and you didn't watch it live, please go catch the replay. So, by the way, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing the bell, and hitting the like, or I don't know why, but a lot of people do tend to hit the dislike button. I can still see the results now. I don't know why you dislike anything I would do. Just kidding. Let's see. Wavy, welcome. Tesla, as always. Strong recovery from the lows today, as I really thought we were going straight for the 200-day. If only it was that easy. 2 more days until earnings report. A lot can happen. Yeah, a lot can happen, but it looks like with the broad market, we put in that, at least that short-term bottom. I covered that in the market overview. Kratos is super fun, high volume trading today. 50 million shares. Yeah, tons of volume. Tons of funds exchanging hands here and repositioning pre-earnings. Hey, Dan Jet. FOMC biggest risk right now. I expect almost anything priced in now. I'm still expecting a minimum 3 to 5 day rally. By the way, the double top on the weekly was confirmed. Again, it's a weekly. We need the weekly close below this level, and obviously it's not the end of the week, but it's still, even today, did not close below that level. Just pointing that out, but it is confirmed, so that is staying in place, but it is not triggered yet. Here's your daily. You were referencing the 200 to 200 all the way down to 812. If that had gone to 200 today, it would have been a major bloodbath. But nice, strong reversal. Again, this is where it really helps to pay attention to the broad market, because the only way I could really start getting aggressive with things was starting to see the momentum and the reversals in both the S&P and NASDAQ, and then you can jump on things for shorter term plays. Let me go through. So if I am expecting Tesla to continue its rally over the next couple of days, so if anybody wants to drop away now, I am watching, especially, and I could even see this easily returning to the $1,000 level, especially with earnings out there. What's going to be interesting to me, though, is to see how it reacts after the earnings are released. That's going to be the telltale sign of then positioning, whether the earnings get sold or whether it keeps holding up after the earnings. By the way, just to recap stuff for people who might be new here, gap down play, you put on your harmonic retracements, and then you watch for the move and the close above on a 5-minute chart above the 62.5. Here, it happened here, not till 2:30, and now we still have the gap play in place for tomorrow. Just wanted to point that out. Until then, that was the gap play. The other plays that were from the bullish side were this little double bottom, which I know some people spotted and jumped on. And that was a little play there with the divergence. You see the divergence down here, the higher low in the RSI running out of momentum. And this was the low. From this low to this low was the divergence, not from this low. From this low to this low. And then that was the little gap play. And then there's a bigger gap play. It was really nice on the 15-minute. You know, I like to switch to the 15-minute after, like during and after lunch. Here was the close above the peak right here, 9:02.29. This close was 9:02.97, triggered this double bottom play. It was confirmed when it traded above here, but not triggered. This was the triggering bar, and it's already gone to the stop reduction target. The next target, by the way, is about 939.50 area. Roughly there. We have a significant level there too. And then the next target above that is 952.17. And when you see a gap, you just paint in a bar, pretend it opened here and closed here. So this would be a nice big red bar. Okay, gaps are, so the gap from here to here, a down gap would be a red bar. You can picture that in your mind. So it's just reversing this whole move. It's actually reversing this whole move. So that is why it's a valid double bottom, not anywhere close to coming into a triple bottom. So that was the other really nice play, which is still in progress. Okay, so even on pullbacks, even back to 900, 902, it's completely tradable. Again, can't give trading advice, educational purposes only. It's to help people learn patterns. But even if it dropped back here, even with a stop reduction, it's completely still tradable. Where do we sit? So the only thing, again, every stop, we all other patterns today, there was a 1 hour buy right here. There was a 1 hour buy on this close at 11:30 Chicago time. That is at the closing price of 884.97. This was a valid aggressive 1 hour buy setup that's in place with the stops below the day's lows. So that buy setup is still in place with the stops below today's lows. The only valid stops for that are below today's lows. And on a 4 hour basis, there was a buy at the end of the day. So this also triggered a buy. So there were, let's see, 5 minute double, but that hit targets. 15-minute double is still waiting for completion, just hit the first target. The gap fill play still needs to fill to the gap, which the full gap fill play would be to 943.90. The 4 hour buy at the end of the day, you'd need your stop below today's low at 851.47. And with that 4 hour play, I'd be watching again for the first little thing would stop reduction. You'd be watching this 4 hour rotation zone coming in around 957. So that would be stop reduction. And I would personally take partial profits off and then be looking to hold the rest. If you wanted a more aggressive target, if it got a strong rally tomorrow, I'd be watching anywhere from about 980 to 995 as another profit-taking window. But that's the kind of thing where you get a rally up going into earnings. I look to unwind half the position and then carry half into earnings and see how it reacts with earnings. That's personally how I would play it. Again, for those taking notes, educational purposes only. Cannot give trading advice. I do not manage your money. Then again, this is a YouTube live stream. I've been in the markets for over 30 years, but I don't know each of your positions. I don't know each of your account sizes. I don't know anything about it, and I'm not a registered financial advisor. I used to have a Series 3 and Series 7. They both expired because I've been a prop trader and a professional market maker way back when. But I've let all my professional licenses expire. That's why I'm sitting here on YouTube just trying to help people learn. Sorry for the long disclaimer, but when we have patterns and I list off signals like this, you have to literally put on your disclaimers because people start saying, well, you told me to buy. I'm not telling anybody to buy or sell. Every investment decision is your own. And if you're not capable of making it, find a trained professional who can help you work through them. All right. And I'd say that across the board, even if somebody doesn't put disclaimers on, don't just tune into anybody's YouTube channel and hear, oh, there's a buy signal, I'm just going to jump on board without understanding your reward to risk and your probabilities and without even vetting at least something about them. Because I know, and I've talked about this before, and I'm going to go off on a tangent right here, but there's been people, and I've seen them on YouTube, who have since even above this 1100 mark have been saying you have to keep averaging down your cost. Well, people were averaging it down, and a bunch of people have been blown out because their accounts couldn't carry the margin and they did get liquidated. There are a bunch of things liquidated today across the board, which is why I'm expecting a short-term rally beyond Tesla. Bunch of people held, and then they got margin calls. There was a fair amount of, especially when the NASDAQ and S&P and a lot of junk stocks just tanked. Before the reversal, it flushed out a lot of people. Okay? So just wanted to go through that with everybody because there are no guarantees in trading. At 1,000, many buyers will step back in. I'm actually looking to unwind. Here's your daily rotation zone. The bottom is at 995, where you also have a significant level. So even if we pop up there, and the top's at 1027, this is actually a sell area now for me. Again, we've been in bearish mode since last week. In the daily, the weekly is in neutral mode still. Although we did confirm but not trigger that double top. But I'm looking for, again, rallies, especially if the market starts rolling over. Rallies are to be aggressively sold in my perspective. Okay, that's the way it still looks. Unless we get a face rip off key major, like, okay, we're above that 62.5% on the NASDAQ and we just get there in a couple days, then I will change my tune. Until that happens, no. The probabilities are for lower price action longer term. That's why I'm going to reiterate this. If you ask me what's going to happen after earnings, don't know. I think Tesla will post a beat in earnings. If that's going to be in earnings that's going to be sold, that's what I'm waiting to watch. What are my thoughts on prop trading? If you're with a good firm, I have no problem with it. It's just using, you can actually get backed with leverage. And if you're with some prop firms that have very good proprietary tools, but again, if you're not good at trading, it's not going to help you to go with a prop firm. So, I mean, there are more benefits now with zero commission trades and the bouts. You can still get very good fills. You can, and I'm not talking through like stuff with Robinhood. I'm talking with like stuff with like Interactive Brokers, or if you're in another country, very inexpensive fills. Unless you really need somebody else to provide you the leverage, there aren't a lot of benefits for going to a prop firm. Now, if you're really good and want additional leverage and have some, even there's prop firms that will help you automate your stuff. There's cases for that then, but a lot of people can, especially with pattern day trading rules, if you can get 4-to-1 and you have the account size, then with these very low commissions or free commissions, there's not as much benefit now. So I think I answered your question. Is it worth it? It depends on the situation. The only time I would go is if they helped you automate stuff or they gave you leverage you could not obtain on your own. But remember, leverage is a double-edged sword. And some of them have very good, it helps because they are in, you get some good commodity, some good people to trade with in some firms, and they have good research. What are the small red horizontal lines? These small red horizontal lines, that is based off of this VPSV, which is based off volume profile. And those red lines specifically are based off the point of control. Why do I watch that? Because I watch the point of control, and you can look up for volume profile what the point of control is. I use that with price action to help me come up with bullish and bearish levels for intraday price action. And I'll go more into that in part of an advanced course. Okay, but that's what it is. Does that answer your question, genomic stock? Tesla at 900 last year, 12. It will hit to 1200 after an year. So let's see. You think it's going to 700s and then back to 1200? Is that your thing, Shashi? Let's see, on the same page, Federal Long plays with very close stops in case you roll over again. And that's where volatility and the context of the markets is why, again, I just told you exactly how I'd play even a 1 hour or 4 hour buy signal, because you leave something on for earnings, but in this market environment, even though there's probabilities, I went over that with the NASDAQ, the S&P, and the Dow having a very high probability that this put in a short-term bottom. It's not 100%. Nothing's 100%. So you still have to trade. And in these volatile market conditions, can stuff roll over again even with high probabilities? Sure it can. You could have something come out of the blue. Okay, you could have some natural disaster, some earthquake like strike California, and like literally, or something happen in New York, God forbid, or some terrorist attack or some nuke go off somewhere. And those are all horrible things. And even if you had something in the 90% probabilities, Could it cause the market to turn back around and tank? Oh, yeah. So that's why, especially right now with these unstable market conditions, I love to lock in some profits and then trail a stop and get my stop to break even on my remaining position as soon as possible. So if there's some even unexpected disaster that can happen, you stop out. You take the loss. Even if it gaps through your stop, you stop out. So you had more loss than you expected. Fine. Yeah, try to stay away and just trade my raw cash balance, and that's always, unleveraged stuff is the best way to trade because you know always where you stand. I'm not telling anybody to leverage. Although if anybody plays options, you literally have to have a leveraged account because you can't play options with a unleveraged account. You might not use the leverage. You can still trade just what's in your account, but in order to trade stuff, because it's a leveraged instrument. All right, so Shashi thinks 700 then 1200. There's Shashi. Today was the best day for traders. These days are great for traders if you can catch those capitulation lows. And if you want our longer term thoughts, tune in. I know you were in the market overview, and I thank you, Rich Beast. All right, there's Shashi's. I just covered that. You have such a rational way of thinking. No guarantee in the market. Many new traders struggle to think this way. It's what I started talking about at the end of the market overview. If I was going to bring on a trader to back or something, consistency, analyzing things in terms of probabilities and reward to risk. So you have reward to risk. Start thinking about this. You have reward to risk and you have probabilities. And that gives you your trade expectancy. And then it's consistency. Why is consistency so important? Because question to everybody who's irregular in here. How many times do you see when you see a gap, what do I do every time? Can everybody list who's irregular here what I do every time there's a gap? I think if you've been on this live stream enough and you followed me even in my videos before they were live streams, I think every one of you knows exactly what I do when I see a gap, up or down, that has it deviated. Yeah, fib retraces by Gann trace, watch the 62.5. Exactly. Do I come up with different rules whenever there's a gap? Have you seen me throw up different rules? Yeah, 62.5. Or again, wait for a close. Now, before that happens, are there other trades? Yes. There you can trade with the rotation zone. You can do a lot of trades. But what do? I posted even in Discord today. What's the first thing you saw me post? You saw me post the screenshot with the gap trade. Have you seen me deviate? Have you seen me change the rules based off? Have you seen me change it whether it works or doesn't work? Have you seen me change it with other stocks? There's a whole gap room in there. No, because it's been tested out systematically. So I don't change the rules whether it's a stop out or works. I don't change the rules because I'd be all over the place. It's consistency. Do the doubles. The thing that might change with the doubles are whether you use a conservative or aggressive targets, but do I shift the overall 50%, 75%, 100% targets? Does that shift every trade? No. It doesn't shift. Why? Because it's consistent. If you're not consistent, you can't analyze what works, what doesn't, and what are you going to do about it. That's why I'd rather have a consistent trader, and you can always become a more profitable trader if you're consistent. And what's inconsistent? A trader who is not consistent, that's why I won't take on a trader who is not consistent, because you can always teach somebody better setups or better entries or better exits. If somebody's not consistent, it doesn't matter what they're taught. They won't apply it consistently. If they won't apply it consistently, then the chances of them being a successful trader diminish greatly. And why is consistency so important? Because unless you're consistent, you can't analyze what's working and what's not. You can't change your stuff even 2 to 3 trades. You shouldn't even trade your stuff even 50 trades in, unless you spot something that you're doing that's blatantly not working. But if you're always shifting what you're doing, you don't have consistency. If you don't have consistency, there's nothing to lean on for long-term money making. Does that make clear? And I don't care what system you use. Again, I'm not here to sell. I'll eventually put out the course and I'll get that out there. But I'm not here. I don't even care if nobody buys it. Well, I probably wouldn't because I put in a lot of time. But I'm not here to sell a course. I'm here to teach people to at least be consistent. Take your stops. Know where your profits are. Know where your targets are. So that way you can analyze what's working and what's not. If you can't do that, you have nothing to lean on. And you revert to more gambling and hoping, oh, well, my gut says I should buy, or my gut says, well, what happens when your gut's wrong 5 trades in a row and you start doubting it? And just because your gut told, it could be indigestion instead of a buy signal. You got to have some consistency. And you got to have a set of rules. And you got to have a trading plan. Otherwise, you're turning it into gambling. And I would rather have people say, well, all right, well, I need to learn something. I don't care who you learn it from. Learn something good that's consistent. And then stick with it. And prove that you can be consistent. And that also involves with taking profits and taking stops. If you can't consistently take profits and you can't consistently honor your stops, then you have no business doing this long term. All right. So that, sorry for the rant, but especially with this, because I see too many people now, and the problem is they're in for a short-term bounce, but it's probabilities again, and it's not 100%. So can it roll over? Yeah. Use stops. Please. What's the most accurate trading indicator? I can't answer that. There's a range. Again, is probabilities rich? Are there certain things that have higher probabilities than others? Yeah. But what's the most accurate trading indicator? I don't know. I don't know them all. If somebody says that though they're generally in 90% probabilities, unless they're selling out of the money options, which I've seen 90% systems, but when they get hit hard. It doesn't. There's not a lot that exists unless you're on the micro, high frequency trading. I have seen some high frequency stuff that verges on 90%, but it's nothing a person can execute. It's all done by machine, and it's all reading way more data than you can take input into any of our brains and react fast enough because it's on the sub-second trading intervals. Other than that, if you're actually initiating the trades, if you get something in the 70% range for probabilities with good reward to risk ratio, you have something you can lean on to. I've even seen people with systems with great, like 5-6 to 1 reward to risk that hit 40%, but you can make tons of money with that. It's only 40, but a lot of people want some higher probabilities because it's psychologically damaging to them to only have 40% winners. And therefore they don't stick with it because they can't take a bunch of losing trades in a row. So, well, thanks. I'm working on it. It's just challenging in these kind of market environments. How many years can a trader say he's consistent? I start measuring it in months and measure I'm consistently, write down your rules and make sure you're sticking to them. After 1 month, did you stick to your rules? How many times did you violate them? If you can say I violated my rules 0 times in the last month, that's a good start. Now do it per quarter. It's 3 months. Have I violated my rules? Yeah, I violated once. I had a bad day. Okay. At least you're honest. Know what you did and figure out a pattern interrupt for that. Then go to 6 months. Have I violated my rules? No. But start with 1 month. Make sure you can get through a month without violating rules and make sure your rules are written down. Do you see me changing the harmonics every day? How many things do you see me change on this live? And people say your live stream is boring. It's the same thing over and over again. I hope it's boring. The markets aren't boring, but I hope what I do is friggin' boring because if I changed it every day, where would I be? I know you're responding to something. Oh, one of the greatest traders of all times. There you go. There's the how to identify to pick a stock at day's bottom. Is there any other signal? Are you trying to call the absolute low? There were signals today for bottoming patterns. I went through a bunch of them. Did they call the absolute low? Only the micro 5-minute bottom. But did that call the absolute low? Not unless you front ran it. But then that was just a quick little trade. Could you have rolled it? I guess you could have rolled it. But I'm not trying to call a low. Again, there's a great 15-minute double that's still in play. But did that call a potential low day? Yeah. Do we know yet? No. Well, Nancy Pelosi doesn't even check the chart. Yeah, well, Nancy Pelosi has information that none of us have also. And I don't really call that trading. Well, at least I'd call it insider trading. Tesla went from 1060 Friday, December 1st to 1210 deliveries. Jan done 850 in 3 weeks. Amazing Q4 deliveries. What's not to say one else will happen with good earnings? Nothing. It's wide trail of stop. Do I know how it's going to react to earnings? No, I do not. Do I think they'll beat earnings? Yes, I do. Do I know how it's going to be? It could be sell the earnings based off the overall market and unwinding of these high flying PEs, which I don't think's done yet. And by the way, I'm going to wrap this up soon. I have to take my dogs out. They're really starting to. It's because the other live stream went long too. But stop. I'm just going to give one other point of advice. Stop trying to be this guy or this guy. Stop this. Learn to wait for the good setups. And you're not trying to buy here every time. You might have a pattern. Was there a pattern here? Yeah, but let's say there wasn't a pattern. Would I be, oh no, I didn't buy. Look, there were people who messaged me. They bought the 853s. Did I buy 853s? No. The pattern didn't trigger until up here. The 860s, do I care? No. Again, your job is to take the chunk out of the middle. That's why you also take something off and trail stops and be consistent. Your job is not to buy here, is not to buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here. If you can show me somebody who can do that consistently, then they're already essentially retired. Or they've had a system that they've sold, and I've never seen a system that good. Never, 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 never. And I've been in this for 30 years, and I've seen a lot of systems. A lot. All right. With that, spec continue moves up. You already have some of the targets. Mind the rotation zones. So mind the 1 hour rotation zone, which is essentially gap tomorrow. After the 1 hour rotation zone, watch the 4 hour, then the daily. That's my advice going into earnings. And then use retracement levels for key stops and keep ratcheting it up should you be in a trade from today's low, and make sure you trail your stops up. That's the advice I can give you. Beyond that, it would be specifically knowing exactly what you're doing, exactly your position and your bank account, which I cannot know. So I'll see everyone in Discord tomorrow. Well, you think I'm not getting a Neuralink chip from which is tied to Elon's brain? There's no way. With that, I'll leave it at that. Bye for now.